national symbol of Guatemala. 1989, that was obviously done there. You can see right onto the top right up there. You pay a bit of attention. This is part of the wall of the city.
The wall?
Yes. So it's like a fortress. So we have got three different periods of developing of the Maya civilization: pre-classic or formative, classic, the great splendor, the maximum apogee, and post-classic time, which is obviously the collapsing of the Maya civilization. Tulum belongs to the post-classic time, 900 after Christ. So obviously, and I'm afraid to say that all the cities by the post-classic time, 900 after Christ, they were commerce cities, military cities. And we've got three problems. Number one problem, the material construction, which is limestone, is one of the worst materials construction along the coastline. It's very kind of fragile, very porous, split up so quickly. And the second problem, we're 2 steps away from the Caribbean Sea. So much salty water erosion into the area. And the third problem, I'm afraid to say, has been done in the last 10 years by people. You're going to notice that the major part of the buildings that are protected by ropes. You were coming about nearly, I might say, to make 1 kilo of cement, I need 8 kilos of limestone. But I have to make sure that the limestone, 8 kilos to get 1 kilo of cement, reach a temperature of 347 Celsius. How on earth I'm going to get 347 Celsius? So question for you. How many kilos of cement do you believe that we have got in here? Don't worry about the answer. It's a very good question. The question in here is, we rulers send the helpers to produce knowledge. So which really happens in here? Conclusion, when crops fail and enemies prevail, lower class society start to lose credibility towards the elite. And when the rulers lose power, and that power goes, you have a limit, I have my limit, lower class society simply, they took their stuff and they went into the forest. No leadership. The question at that time in cities is a very tiny little city, huge, massive. The question at that time, who we rulers are going to give orders if there is no people right here? Believe me, right now, señoritas, there are more than 50 proportions of this area, 50 times bigger in the forest, waiting to be discovered while one Indiana Jones, which is telling us that what happens in here, it was not an epidemic, it was not a tornado, it was not an earthquake. The Maya left was a territory, but in fact what they left, a political misconception from higher class society in oppression to the lower class society as it is today. You said so. So we haven't got changed. Conclusion, we don't have to visualize the Mayas as extraterrestrials, as many people and books talked about this with no proof. And when we go to elementary school, at least in Mexico, we have been intoxicated with this funny idea that the great globalization started when Mr. Columbus came to America. Wrong. Because in your country, in my country and South America, there were already aborigines.
Thank you.
The Maya civilization was one of those. A civilization that was born in here, is still in here, and all depends in us if we want to see them in future times.
So where did the Aborigines migrate from? Where did the Aborigines migrate?
Well, there is a high hypothesis still today in the south part of this area, Mexico, Chiapas. Every time that a Maya baby is born, close by to the coccyx, they have got what is called the Mongolian spot. It's like a bruise. By the age of 5-6 years old, they go away. This is a great hypothesis that all groups today, Patas Negras in Canada, Sioux in the United States, right here, and Amazon. These people, at one moment, they are coming from Asia. They emigrate the Strait of Bering glacial period, traveling, chasing the animals, and establish, settle down according to the geographical position where they were having, where they're coming from that area. And what is important, all these conclusion societies from Asia, they are coming from Africa, to be clear. That's it.
That's what I was getting to.
Okay, humans have never had conscience about the ecological system. Not the Hindus, not the Greeks, not the Romans, and the Mayans were not an exception. So that's overpopulation. It caused a massive deforestation of the area. As a matter of fact, in the next 45 years, we're going to be billions in the whole planet. Overpopulation, it means a massive deforestation to produce food nowadays in 21st century. That's the first problem. Second, we rulers, every time that we do get a book about the Maya civilization, very frequently it comes in the first or second chapter, the great vanishing of the Maya civilization. The terminology is improper. Señoritas, believe me, there are more Mayans right now than speaking to you than by the time this civilization was in its maximum splendor. Right now, 6 million Mayan descendant people kicking, breathing, living alive in the south part of my country, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and a tiny little bit of Nicaragua. As a matter of fact, you are in a hotel, right? I swear, you don't have to come out from your hotel. If you pay a bit of attention, you don't even have to come out from your bedroom, I swear. If you pay a bit of attention, the person that does your bed in your hotel, the person that helps you in breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the beautiful restaurant of the bureau, there are the Mayan descendant people. This is not my proper job. I'm agriculture engineer. I have a tiny little company. Every single Friday, I would like to share this with you. Every single Friday, I have to take my workers to 4 Mayan communities. It's a great privilege for me as Mexican to let you know every time that a tiny little baby is born in a Mayan house, the first lingo that this baby is going to learn is not Spanish as the official language in Mexico, but Maya. And Maya have nothing to do with the Spanish. It's like Chinese or Japanese. 32 ethnical groups today, 27 different subdivisions of the language. Listen to this. In this area, we speak Mayan Yucatec. The kids, they go to school. They are bilingual. Mom and dad, they might get back in Spanish. Granddad, grandmom, not a single word of Spanish. And a person that in this area doesn't speak Mayan Yucatec, he cannot be understood today to a person that speaks Maya in Guatemala, Salvador, or Honduras. It's like at one moment Europe, Latin. It was a grammar structure, today Spanish, Portuguese, French, and so on. So there are certain similarities in the language, but it's not the same. So basically what I'm trying to say right in here, the social political activity has gone, the knowledge has gone, but the people from ancient times up to the present moment, they are still here today.
Difference between the Mayan language and the Olmec language?
There is not so much evidence right now about the Olmec because it's a culture that it has gone. The people, there is not even people right now as descendant people of the Olmecs, there is nothing like that. So in here still
Did they like blend in with the other surrounding cultures?
Yes, they did. As a matter of fact, there is a, in order to have a writing system, you must have a language.
Right.
It's impossible to have a writing system if you don't have a language. That was the market. Lower class society from outside will get here in order to do the trading system. Straight right down to the bottom, right down there, that's the pier. Every time you say pier, automatically people think there is a pier made of concrete wood. I love to draw. Please look this place how it looked like.
Wow.
Okay. So obviously all buildings were beautiful colors. This is the pier, sun, beach.
Yeah.
So huge and tiny little canoes get right down there, loading and unloading the product. Places like this, right here, the palace were buildings in relation to the administration service, contability. And my dear friends, senoritas, it will be excellent for that. Why? Because if you think for a second, still today, if we have got no electricity, is the only element that it can conserve our alimentation system, specifically meat and fish. And listen to this, talking about fish, about 7 years ago, the anthropologist has found not only here, but all cities along the coastline, children skeletons and adult skeletons. Comparing the skeletons found in cities like this against Mayan cities 30, 40, 80 kilometers or more within land, the anthropologists reached to the conclusion that all people that live close by to the shore side, they grew 5 centimeters more comparing to the Mayan people living 30, 80, 40 kilometers more within land. Why? You have a balance on your diet living close by to the shore side. Number 1, iodine. Number 2, protein. And number 3, calcium. And the only way to get that is by seafood and fish.
Yeah.
I am not saying people that they did not eat fish, they did, but not as frequent I was in this area. Experts reached to the conclusion that if at that time, scientifically proved, we were living right in here, our span of life will be up to 50 years. But if you live 30, 40 kilometers or more within land, you don't even get to 30 years. Now, you think for a second, is 20 years gap difference delayed right down there on the process of technology. It is enormous. So it's better off living close by to the shore side. Second product, cotton. It's a very endemic plant in all Latin America and Asiatic countries. And product number 3, believe it or not, from the Mayans to the world. A product that we love so much today, I do, chocolate. The domestication of cacao beans, it became that important that if at that time I want to buy you sunglasses, I will have to pay you with cacao beans. Trading system, it was used as a currency. And number 4, in your country, bread, wheat. I don't know if you're familiar with Mexican gastronomy. tortillas, tacos, corn is the basis of our diet today. And as I already said, there were many different products coming here. Evidence has been found knives made of obsidian, jade, macatite. Those are basaltic stones. We don't have volcanoes in this area. The place right down there is a shortcut to go to the volcanic countries, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, and so on. Just to give a tiny little idea.
California.
California. So you speak Spanish?
I see.
Very good. What about in California? Come this way.
Everybody saying we're Mayan. Realize that we're Mayan? Not.
Probably, yeah. Because they were supposed to speak English.
Look at the sea right there. Beautiful. Just like home.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
What the heck?
Look at this. The Olmec civilization developed in this area, right here. The Maya civilization started actually right here by 250, probably a bit more before Christ. The border between Mexico and Belize is one of the states in Mexico, and right here. It's called the Proto-Maya. 250 before Christ. By 300 after Christ, according to the experts, there is one lingo or dialect that still is widely spoken by the Mexican people in this region. It's called Chol. Chol. And that comes from the kind of studies has been done recently about the Olmecs. It was under the same thing. So to have a better understanding, and you understand much better right in here, look at this right here. This is the Maya writing. I don't know if you have ever had the opportunity to visualize this. This is on wood. This is on wood.
That's beautiful.
That's what I find a beautiful art. That's what you just said. I find it like an art. This is on the walls, and this is on kind of slabs of rocks. Okay.
So it's more pictograph. Okay. It's more picture-based.
No, it's phonographic.
Phonographic.
Okay, epigraphic, and obviously a lot of kind of different drawings that obviously it's a massive combination of many different statues in order to decodify this. Now, basically what I'm trying to say, by the post-classic time, 900 after Christ, in here, the same writing system does exist, but not anymore with these materials. Billions of books, which I'm afraid to say these books were burned by the Spanish, because obviously the Spanish thought that the main changing in the conquest is to change the mentality of religion. Remember that the Mayans, they have a polytheistic way, and obviously Catholicism was implanted into the minds, or they wanted to implant that. The Spanish priests, they thought that this is related to the devil, and that's why these books are designed to burn them all. There are only 4 left from those millions. One is in Germany, one is in Paris, the other one is in Madrid, and one in Mexico City.
What are they? What are the books? Do they have the names or?
They are called codex.
Codex.
Okay. This is knowledge. Knowledge means power. No, knowledge means ignorance. So basically what I'm trying to say, I just said to you, at the present moment, we have got 27 different subdivisions of the dialect. Every time I do say so, people ask me the question, hey, amigo, is that possible that Mayan descendant people, can they understand this today? The answer is no. This has to be read by an expert. And the expert today is not us Mexicans, you, Americans. In the last 50, 60 years, many private institutions have been taking so much details in order to decodify this, which, by the way, 40% can be understood. The other 60% is still on the air, giving a lot of headaches to the experts. What is important to say, let's go to play funny, and let's go to say, I am the king from this kingdom, and you are my guest, elite. Queen from another kingdoms. Yes. And we come here to celebrate something very important. From the moment at that time when you get here inside, if you see this, you can understand in pigmentation system what important events happens in my kingdom. If I go to yours, the same thing. Elite. But lower class society, they don't have a clue what happened here. They were completely illiterate people. And why is important? Why places like this, not only Mayas, Aztecs, Chichimes, Toltecs, sacred places like this, lower class society, by the way, knowledge is not shared with lower class society, because if you share knowledge to lower class society, sooner than later, I won't need you no more. And that's not possible.
That's true in America right now. Like,
it doesn't have changed. It's still the same thing.
Exactly.
So basically, lower class society have to come to these places to ask to my king, to my queen, in how many days, in how many suns, in how many moons, I'm going to put my seed on the ground. And that knowledge, obviously, is not shared with the lower class society. You just give me the answer, and I will plant my corn.
Control.
But in that way, I have to pay a high % of contribution, millions of tax to the elite. The elite does not nothing, just knowledge. Now, this is very important. Experts reached to the conclusion that the elite, to manipulate thousands of people, they knew three main things, main elements to control people. Number one, Mayas, mathematics. Number two, agriculture, which they knew it, but they didn't practice it. And number three, the most important, the cosmos. You cannot know algebra 3 if you don't know algebra 2. It is impossible to know astronomy if you don't know mathematics. And people right in here, in this place, they put a fantastic evidence, physical evidence of buildings showing the passing of the celestial bodies and the four seasons. Let me show you something of the number of Fibonacci, or the golden number. This number is called phi, not pi. It's called phi. It can be found in many different architectural civilizations and structures. Mayans used it by the Berber time before these buildings. And this phi number, or the number of Fibonacci, the golden number, it can be found on the nature, it can be found on the animals, it can be found on us. We are making it symmetrically. And it can be found above in the constellation. So it's a precision number that obviously we are made in a very perfect way. So that's the first number. And another thing incredible, I have a great respect for the Egyptian engineering, but I challenge you, if you go back to your computer, there is not any evidence that the engineers in Egypt, they were using number 0. There is no 0 in all the constructions. The clumsy number used by the Romans, there is no 0. And the great fathers, great inventions of the geometry, the Greeks, there are letters, but no 0. So it was by the very first time that obviously there is a dispute now, still today, that obviously 900 years when the Spanish came here, okay, it gets the 0 900 years later in Europe, and it's believed that it was done by the Spanish that came here or by the Arabians. There is a great dispute on that. What is important that the Mayans, they used the 0, but they did not invent it. It was the Olmec, the first civilization 10 years ago. There is already evidence that they were used by the very first time, and the Mayans, they perfectionate, they polish it. And obviously in our basic country, today we use decimal system. Mayans were using bigesimal system. So what is important?
You said they were using the decimal system?
Bigesimal system. Decimal as today, taken by the Hindus. So obviously 10, Mayas were used base 20 in positional ways. Otto Novembauer, the history of the science, considered positional number is one of the most fertile inventions that the humans has created above the whole planet. And the Mayans were using at that time with no hesitation at all. So if you pay a bit of attention, all right?
No phones, no computers, no nothing.
I'm going to say something personal with you. When I was doing my social service in Guatemala, south part of Honduras and north part of El Salvador, I was asking to the Mayan farmers, ladies or gentlemen, what exactly it has to do? It has to do with you doing agriculture using a mathematic almanac. And the answer that she gave me, or they give me in reality, they were saying, numbers are commanded by God because they follow laws that no man can change. And I went like this. And
that's what I'm talking.
And then later, obviously, I was a bit confused about that. So I went to do and study Egyptology. And finally, later on, I found the great surprise, the Greeks. The Greeks were saying, if you want to talk to God, the only language that you're going to be used is a universal language. And that universal language is mathematics. Do you speak Chinese? I don't speak Russian, but if I said to you 4 plus 4 equal to 12, and run right now, I was run 2,000 years ago, and I will be run for the next 25 million years to come. We don't speak the language, but we do know the answer. And if we go a bit kind of silly, if right now we want to speak to ET, extraterrestrials, believe me, the language that we're going to be used is not going to be English, Maya, Spanish. It's going to be a mathematical conception.
Wow.
Mayan people, they already knew about this. And the question is that obviously today many people ask me the question. That's it.
By numbers, by numbers.
Numbers, my friends.
They exist in everything.
Okay, listen to this.
Yes.
Mathematics is a language that we don't understand because a concept of instrumentality. So no weight still. And places like this, there is a code right in here, a hidden code that underpins the world around us. Hiding within these rings that are, listen to this, hiding within these rings that are close to a mystery. Something that could help answer one of humanity's most enduring questions. Why is the world the way it is? because we have created that way. Our previous generation have done it. Humans, we don't understand that obviously ecological system, nature is the vital thing to survive in humanity here and in future time. So there is a code right here that we still would understand that concept. And that's why at the present moment, the way I put it out, the same problems that we're facing here today, there were the same problems that in ancient time many different civilizations were facing. We don't want to be civilized. War, drought, famine, food production, the legitimate transition, political power as it is today was in ancient times. So we have to change the mentality. And that's what is important to know about history. The man who knows his past knows where he goes, because he has a very specific determination how he experienced wrong in ancient times. And that's the conception that we have to change. I'm going to show you something. Graphically, this is the place where we are at the present moment. You can take a seat right down there. This is the Maya region, or obviously territory, today as in ancient times. That's a bird. Okay.
Oh,
it's called Sanate. That's right. Okay. So as I already said, Tulum belongs to the post-classic time 900 after Christ, to have an idea. Okay. At that specific moment, according to the experts, the Maya civilization goes into collapsing. Many problems, specifically along the coastline, two inconvenience, negative one problems. Number one, many cities were abandoned. They carry on the abandon of the cities. I will try to explain you why. And constant conflicts in between the Mayas. The Mayans, they have to look for strategic natural places at the post-classic time, 900 after Christ, to protect two main things. Number one, food, alimentation system, and number two, the people.
The people.
The people.
Oh, okay.
It's a strong belief that the people that built these places right in here, they were not living far away from here.
Okay.
And this place was under constant attack. So the Mayans, they have to look for strategic places to protect these two things. The place that you just met me is a very exuberant vegetation full with water, the mangrove, parallel always to the short side. That's the first protection of the service of the area here. Then later, once I finish with you, you're going to have time to take
a connection between the way that structures are built in the ancient Egyptian civilizations in relation to mathematics and the... No.
There is a great and massive quantity of coincidence in many different aspects in architecture in all places. And obviously, if you look very carefully here, one is really astonishing. Many people ask me, like for instance, Egypt and Machu Picchu. There is another Inca civilization. The construction of the size of the stumps, that are huge, massive. So in here, if you look very carefully, they don't even weigh up to 40 kilograms. So it's very different, the area. So it's completely different, but there is a lot of similarities on that area.
In order to tell time, it's still the similar...
Right, that's it. So
okay.
Basically, what I'm trying to say, there is a lot of connections, but we don't know how exactly that happens.
Okay.
Exactly. What is important to say is in the calendaric matter, through past of human time, we have created many different kinds of calendar. Julian calendar, Gregorian calendar, and about 30 years ago, to be precise, with a great accuracy, the scientific calendar. What is important to say, the scientific calendar was used with all new modern technology. So which was obviously computers, radar, you name it. Experts on the matter have been done a comparison with many different calendars and the Maya calendar. Explain to me in regular standards, how is that possible that these people has got 17,23 seconds of fraction of mistake, if at that time these people did not have Mayas, that technology that we have got today. It's going to 17,23 seconds is nothing. You think for a moment. And what is incredible to say as well at the same time, every time I do mention this, people say to me, don't worry about this. Extraterrestrials came here to help the Mayans. And I'm afraid to say, it's a really good fantasy, and it's not rocket science how these people get this perfection in accuracy in astronomical matter. Let me show you something incredible right here. This is not me speaking. The NASA, it does say it. It does not Maya you where you are here as Maya, or who you Maya were 2,000 years ago. All this sector, geographically speaking, two main factors. Number one, we are very close to the equator, and number two, we're in the tropic, exactly into the tropical of Cancer. Señoritas, we're exactly on the excess central part of the Earth, which means you can actually have and visualize the position of the celestial body 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, with the only naked eye, with no certification equipment. Europe, impossible. And that's what really gets annoyed to the Spanish. When they disembarked in here, they were saying, how is that possible? That these ignorant, savage people have a great accuracy in the calendaric matter. The position of the area, simply, no more than that. To finish with the conversation, my friends, sometimes myself, I wonder how is that possible that incredible sophisticated people was inside. And sweating right now is a very tropical weather. Yeah. It is impossible that a family or a person live there. Okay. Those were places to pray to the elite, and those were places to live. All right? The only class society that come here is to do the transaction of commerce. Let me show you something here.
Commerce. Like money.
Oh,
yeah, exchanging.
They were coming right in here. Let's go to the shade right in here. I'm going to show you something important.
Because I'll be going and chipping in the ground.
The major work, if you see, Tulum is very, very, very small. This is what you see, period. This is what you're going to find. Okay. But if you pay a bit of attention, the sun does not help us so much. Exactly where I'm standing, the building right down there, the staircase, yeah. And then on the top of the building, they have a temple. And the temple, we have 1, 2, 3 entrances, 3 doors. And if you pay a bit of attention, there is a tiny, in the central part of the entrance, there is a tiny, tiny little hall. Can you spot that one?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. 21st of June. 21st of June, 5:25 in the morning. Everything is completely dark. The sun, the earth moves towards the sun. And exactly in that tiny little hole that you can see right down there, 5:25, 21st of June, the sun rays up. And there is a passage of light to the sun through that area to touch the light of the sun, the wall right down there.
Oh, I see it.
Nothing happens to the wall. But I don't know how the Mayans they call it. For us, the scientists, they reckon that as the summer
solstice. Yeah.
For the Mayans, they didn't have the name. I don't know if they did, they don't know how they call it. But for the Maya, it's a reference point to indicate that that day in particular is the longest day of the year. Wow. Mayans, they need to know what activity they have to do according to the passing of the celestial bodies and the 4 seasons.
For agriculture?
Exactly. Right. So what is it saying right now? This is an astro-mathematical conception, which means, according to the experts reached to the conclusion, with no exception, all Mayan cities follow the same pattern. Señoritas, there is acoustic right in here. There is acoustic in Chichen Itza, there is acoustic in Tikal, Palenque, Bonaparte, there is acoustic everywhere. The king, the queen does not make any structures because they feel like doing it. There is a specific logic in order to do agriculture into this area. If you walk 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 steps, you cannot visualize that, but if you get back 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you can actually see the hole again right down there. Once a year, 21st of June. All right? So obviously, to have an idea, you see it again? We're going to have the picture for the Facebook right down there, and I'm going to show you 2 more holes right in this area. A little hole on the left-hand side of the staircase, and exactly past it, and standing in what was a structure. Once a year, very early in the year, the sun passed from here, close to me, to touch the wall right down there. That will indicate that that's the right moment to prepare the topsoil. Why? Because it's a dry period. I don't know if you noticed from the airport or from the airport to your hotel, or from the hotel to get here, on both sides of the motorway, we don't have any kind of industrial agriculture right in here. Nothing. Everything is jungle. To have a better understanding, 65 million years ago, all this area, the size of the France country, it was full with water from the Caribbean Sea. Bit by bit, the evolution of the earth, the bottom came up to the top, remaining or leaving what we call today skartic formations or karstic formations, in plain English, limestone. So what I'm trying to say right here, in plain English, in all this area today, we don't have so much humus. It is a natural compost to produce fertile soil. We only have 35 centimeters, so you are very lucky, 1 meter, right down to the bottom, completely limestone. Mayan farmers, to produce food today, they have to use the same ancient method as in ancient time, which is called slashing and burning, which means by the dry period that indicates the dry period, March, you have to chop off all the trees, all the bushes, set fire into them, And with the ashes, there will be macro and micronutrients to the topsoil. If I don't do so, my family, Mayan farmer, my family will not be eating today.
And what time of year? So through that window down there, it was March 21st through the larger window.
3 months later, to the hole that I showed you, Mayan people, they don't come here, farmers, but they pray eagerly to the rain god, Chak, thinking that Chak will listen to the place and the rain will come September, October, November, and December. You come right here, the same way, we have got another hole, which indicate the 21st of September, which is the second equinox in a year, which is in this side.
That's the fall equinox. So that would be where I keep my feast in the fall, somewhere around that time. And they're all attached to the same agricultural seasons.
You stay right here, listen, look up. Can you listen to my voice?
Si.
It's exactly, obviously, acoustic.
Yes.
And acoustic happens everywhere. If you pass in the minute on this side, there is a hole right down there to the same structure I will show you. 6 o'clock in the morning, there is a passage of light of the sun that is going to touch the wall. That will indicate it's the right moment to put the seed on the ground, because September, October, November is the rainy season. Every time I explain that to the people, they say to me, oh, amigo, it's a beautiful phenomenon. No.
It's natural.
A phenomenon
It's
is also
mathematics.
natural. That's correct. They have to do and study generation through generations from a one specific moment, a one specific time. The celestial body get through that structure to indicate food. And the way Maya visualize, come this way. There's a hole right down there, same structure right onto the top. The way Mayan visualize this, astronomy is linked to architecture, architecture to mathematics. That's a mathematical conception right down there.
Repeat that. Astronomy.
Is related to architecture, architecture to mathematics. That's a mathematical conception right down there. Mathematics, religion, religion, agriculture. If you don't eat, you die. Let's go to finish right in here.